We gotta rush them. We gotta kick them. What we gotta do is get in and get the. All right, let's go. Come on now. Hey, we'll put the bass on.
Well, my people, it's a Saturday. Been up, moving, grooving. Watched the Ghanaian Aspinall UFC bout. Turned to be a non-event because Aspinall got gouged in the eye by Cyril Gane. Was hoping for a nice finish to this card. It was an early card because it was in Dubai, in the Emirates. But let's get on to some football. I don't know what happened with my wonderful team, the University of Illinois. I'm hoping that they won out against Washington today. But I was thinking about some of these stats and whatnot that have been thrown around in regards to Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart is this young rookie that has made his way into our hearts and our minds. And I'm just hoping and praying that there's some kind of way that lightning can strike twice in our division and we could pull out a win against Philadelphia. And it's not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination because they're going to be prepared. And I think some of the guys that they were missing previously are going to be made available. But I still feel like there's some hope. The data points for Jackson Dart are pretty good. Oh, and by the way, before I go any further, met a gentleman, I think his name is Brandon Hintridge, something like that. You know who you are, you're a Cowboys fan. I'm down here in Central Texas, surrounded, ergo my channel, New York Giant in Exile. But just a shout out to all my people and to some new people that I have met along the way. I had another gentleman the other day that I met. It was real cool, and can't think of his name at the moment. Maybe it'll come to me by the time I finish this video. But yeah, we are trying to get it together and think about what we can do for future wins. Giants need to stack some wins. They let go of this McEnany guy that they got out of the European NFL who blew the whole game for us, but also obviously decision-making process. And I mean, when watching this game and breaking it down and looking at it, they have 5 minutes left. You know, the picks did not help. But the main thing was not throwing the pick and just running the football and running out the clock because I think they had used their last time out. That game was literally a gift from the Giants to the Broncos. And on top of that, still got a problem with time and clock management. And that's Brian's fucking area that he should be covering. And I also think that you guys show up at a gunfight with knives, you know, when you know that you're going up against somebody with the elevation that you have at that location. You know that physically it's going to be upon you a certain way, and this is where you want to have long drives to keep the defense on the field. Short plays that eat up a lot of clock when you're going against somebody on the road at a 7,000 foot fucking elevation. You know, these are the kind of things that Giants fans never had to worry about with Coach Parcells, Coach Coughlin, and for that matter, God rest his soul, a great coach that doesn't get talked about enough is the great coach Jim Fossil. And by the way, Jim Fossil had Sean Payton working with the Giants back in the day with the defense. So Sean Payton's a defensive-oriented guy. I don't know what's going on with him and Russell Wilson, that he would be speaking negatively. I felt like he disrespected the man on a level that seemed personal. And, you know, with things like this, especially if you have a white person saying this about a black person, you always got to wonder if it's a little bit of racial stuff that that person holds. In this case, Coach Payton, where he would never have said the same thing about a white quarterback that's a veteran quarterback, that's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. If it didn't work out with you at your team, then you just move on. But it wasn't this jab that was an obvious jab to Russell Wilson. And I don't know why the fuck he felt the need to do it. So it could be just his fucked up personality. It could be there's something personal between them. Or it could be that it's a kind of a racial thing where he could be more disrespectful because he's black. Or it could be all the above. It could be a combination. Nothing is mutually exclusive. But from a professional standpoint, as you as a head coach of an organization, why the fuck you needed to disrespect Russell Wilson is beyond me to really understand. But it is what it is. I just wanted to address it for half a second. And speaking of which, addressing something, you know what's in the news, and that is the whole thing with the basketball guys being involved with the mob. And, you know, all this is really bad. But I have to tell you that when I was sitting there watching a little bit of it, and the FBI's Kash Patel came out and started talking about how hard they're working on this case, all I could think of is the fact that there was a guy who was a top electronics guy and surveillance guy for the Mossad that was in Vegas and got caught in a federal sting for underage kids and maybe some pedophilia, and he was just allowed to leave. And the FBI didn't seem to have a problem with that. You ask people about the Epstein files, what the hell? But this case with the sports book and with these players, oh boy, we're gonna turn every page. I just want you to take the same effort that you put into investigating Sean Combs, or in this case, Coach Billups, Chauncey Billups, and these players and whoever's doing this. If it's wrong, it's wrong. But let's everybody get the same measuring stick and yardstick and quit fucking around. That's all I would say, because this is not a political channel. This is a sports channel. We want to keep it that way. But when things kind of crosshatch the way they do, and I got to see a sorry ass son of a bitch like Kash Patel, who lies out of both sides of his mouth and may have, well, he definitely has a girlfriend that may not be everything we think she is, since she used to work for the intelligence arm of the Mossad, the 8200 unit. So you can check it out for yourself. That's what the word is on the street. But anyway, getting back to sports, getting back to the New York Football Giants, getting back to what we need to do. We got to stack some wins here. But the numbers for Jackson Dart have been good. And I don't have all the exact numbers of 790 yards in 4 games, and the number of touchdowns that he threw, and how much he gained in rushing yardage. He breaks a lot of records for rookies in their first year, is what was being talked about on some of the sports channels. And it's impressive. The biggest thing is that he needs to go down, he needs to fall down. If he gets taken out, we're screwed, you know? And of course, there's a certain group of people in New York that are saying maybe we're biting off a little bit more than we can chew, and we need to maybe step back from this and put Jameis Winston in. But I think what will make that happen is if we stack more losses. But if the kid keeps winning, they're going to ride the kid out. You can see that coming from a mile away. I want to see Juice Wells on the field, because Juice Wells was Jackson Dart's go-to, or one of his go-to receivers with Ole Miss. And they pulled him up off the practice squad. The other part is, can Gano go? Or are we going to have the same bullshit we had last year with Gano in the Washington game? You know, and I find it mind-boggling that there's no one out there that the Giants can find to help them in their kicking game. So that's a real thing related to that clown-ass schmuck named Joe Shane that gave away one of the greatest players in our own division and helped them to a Super Bowl. We're never going to forget it. I'm never going to let you fucking forget it. And yeah, I'll probably bring it up in every video that I do because it's so ridiculous and such a poor move that when you see this as an imprint of such a poor move, then you say, well, if he made this poor move and he made this poor move and he then made this poor move, maybe we shouldn't keep him around any longer. And they keep talking about Dable's losing this game and losing his job. I know the guy that should lose his job first, and that's Joe Shane. But you can send Dable's right with him. The guy I'm interested in seeing here is Brian Flores. I'd like to see him have an opportunity as a man from this area, from Brooklyn, who has a tough-minded attitude, and I think he'd be a good fit here. And I certainly like the idea of asking Steve Spagnuolo to come back here. And I know what Steve has seen Coach Reed do, we might be able to pull a couple of people out of Coach Reed's staff that will take on some of the mindset of the very distinct and special configurations. You can make the argument that Coach Reed is, if not the best tactician, he has to be in the top 3 of tacticians in terms of how offensive are called, with the head coach calling the offensive plays, are working in very tight conjunction with the offensive coordinator, which I do believe they still have one, but he's up on top. Coach Reed is on the ground, and I think Coach Reed has the final say on what the plays are going to be. But their configurations and what they do, and of course with the flexibility of a guy like Mahomes, we're seeing that flexibility in Jackson Dart. And I'm really thinking that we could kind of build our own kind of Mahomes-like guy to some degree with the Giants. I mean, I know it's a different animal, but they're both outdoor stadiums. They both get the snow. They both get the rain. So at the end of the day, you got to have a strong defense. You got to change configurations. You got aggressive teams in your division you got to play. You're playing outdoor games a lot, you know, so let's wake up. And, you know, they say that, you know, copying is the greatest flattery. Well, let's copy some of the success that we've seen KC do in their games and the way that they call certain plays. Really loving the inside slants that they use as an answer to the blitz. And that was another stat for Jackson Dart, was the number of blitzes that he has dealt with and been successful with. So I'm sure they're going to have some blitz packages ready for Jackson. I'm hoping that this guy, Ray something, Matlock something, that came from, I want to say Atlanta. He's a return guy and a wide receiver. It might be somebody that will help to kind of fill the gap that has been left by the great Malik Neighbors. Again, special shout out to Malik Neighbors that he is recuperating and coming back in a very strong way. Lord knows we need him. And shout out to my home dog that I keep talking about that people don't listen to, but now they know what the fuck I'm talking about. Daniel fucking Bellinger. Yeah, Theo Johnson, fine, great. Daniel Bellinger was here before you. He was making plays. You stopped fucking using him, and now you're using him again, and you're seeing success. Use your tight ends. Use the Andy Reid type configurations with your tight ends. Lean more on your tight ends because you don't have Malik Neighbors, but making those D-backs come in, and then let's get some passes to our wide receivers. And if Slayton is going to be coming back, I don't know. You know, if Jalen Hyatt is good to go, if We got the other guy that they brought off the practice squad that was making some plays. I can't think of his name right now. I think it was number 89. Was making some nice plays. Of course, we got Wandale. He's a little undersized, but he can make things happen. He's got a lot of toughness. Throw to your backs out of the backfield. Utilize them as well. Because if you're going to have, the second coming of Ironhead Hayward and Cam Scatterboo, doing what he's doing. And my biggest thing to you, Cam, is calm it down. You don't have to leap over people or do anything crazy. Just maintain the ball, because the greatest thing you can do to a rookie is make them fumble. And that's what they're going to do. And the Eagles, you're in the fumble zone when it comes to teams looking to try to make you fumble and punch the ball out. And the peanut punch from Peanut Tillman, for you younger people that don't know who he is, look him up. Ex-Chicago Bears. This crazy man will run down the field with his fist in his hand and punch the ball right out of your hand on kick returns, punt returns, and on regular plays. And the essence of who he is gets filtered into different teams in different ways. And I feel like there's a few people on the Cowboys. There's definitely some people on the Eagles. And I'm sure there's a couple of guys on the Redskins, or the Commanders, that all are thinking the same thing, and we need to think the same thing. Takeaways are extremely important. And again, shout out, fantastic, Cordell Fly. Okay? Keep doing what you're doing, brother. Keep fighting the good fight. Let's make some things happen. That's basically it. I hope to talk to you on Sunday evening, on Monday morning, and talk about a giant win and how we still keep some hope alive at this early 1/3 part of the season. And it's going fast. I mean, we're going into the 8th week already. All right, so we're at the halfway mark, really. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's keep it strong. Let's keep it right. Let's keep it Big Blue. I hope you guys like my new Burns shirt. Feel the burn with Spider-Man and the rest of that great defense. Let's go. New York Football Giants.